This is the design we came up with for your diesel engine heater. It makes it super portable. Thanks to Highbank for sending us this heater. I'm gonna show you guys how we built this. We took a couple of ideas from other people's videos and we also took our own ideas. I think this is probably the best setup. So if you guys wanna be using this idea, feel free to copy it. The only extra pieces you're gonna need, exhaust port you can get on Amazon in this box. Now I'm gonna show you how we built it. So this is what we came up with. It's so easy to do. The first thing you wanna do, go to Canadian Tire, any kind of home hardware store, get yourself a box. It's a heavy duty one. And the reason you want that is gonna be super stiff because you're gonna be out in the cold, you're gonna be banging around, you're gonna be lifting it, you're gonna have some weight in it. You don't want a flimsy one that's gonna break. This one's super nice and strong and it's corrugated, so it's gonna last, it's gonna be a lot stiffer, and that's the whole reason we went with this design with this case. And the second piece you guys are gonna need is this exhaust port right here. It's super easy to put in. It's 3 holes, you screw it in, and then that's what it looks like on the other side. Now it's a little safer, that's why I went with this method. Reason being, you can do it the other way too, it doesn't really matter. You can just run the exhaust straight out and up, but that way it's gonna be kind of in the way, and this just makes it a little more compact, a little more sleek, easier to move around, and not have to worry about less parts too, because if you have it out the side, you gotta remember, you're gonna have to take it off on transport and put it back in. So the reason I like this box so much is that the measurements worked out absolutely fabulous. If you look at it, it lines up right on the edge here. And then you got about 2 to 3 inches, so you can use the hose it comes with, cut it, and put the 2 clamps on, and it works out perfect. So the intake right there is on the one side, and you go to the other side, and that's the outtake. And also, I'm going to be taking this off later, because you want to put a hose on this, and from the point of hose, you're going to run it to your tent or anywhere you're going to be putting it, so it makes it a lot easier, because you can't really leave that end on, because if you put this in the tent, you're going to have the exhaust in here too. Unless you got a super long exhaust, you can run that out and keep this in the tent, or vice versa, like we're gonna do. You leave the exhaust like that, and then you leave the port right here and put a hose extension on it and run that out to your tent. Now the whole idea of this one is I wanted this whole unit outside, and that's the best thing. Everything is enclosed, including the battery, and we'll get to that later. So you could, some people, you could expand, you could put spray foam on this too if you really wanted to, or if anything, on the lid. See, look at this lid too. It's corrugated. It's super strong. It's gonna last a while. But if you wanted to, you could put spray foam on that because heat rises, obviously, and it would keep the whole unit very, very warm. And as long as it's out of the wind, these things will last. They're a champ. They'll chug along in the cold, no issues at all. So the whole fact that this thing is enclosed, you're gonna have no problems at all. Now this is inside diameter. Now it does, it is beveled a little bit if you go down to the inside, but it gives you an idea on the measurements on this unit. So inside diameter is, we'll just say 16 3/4, and then the length inside diameter is going to be 26 and about 1/4. So it gives you an idea the total cubic inches which you guys will need for the inside of this for everything to fit just like mine. All right, depth, I almost forgot. So it is about 15 3/4 of, I needed the focus. But it was about 15 3/4. And obviously, if you look, like, you could go a little bit shallower if you wanted to, because there is a little bit of room, so it doesn't have to be exactly that deep for everything to work. So continuing with the outside, when you get this tank, lots of people downsize to put like the 5-liter tank. I don't want that, because if you're going out in the woods for quite a while, or tenting, ice fishing, or whatever, you don't want to be messing around with the diesel. So this thing comes with a 10-liter tank. I stuck to that one. And another thing, I think it's better to have this on the outside than the inside. Lots of guys like, this is one reason why I think this is a better idea. I don't want the diesel inside with the heat and everything else. And eventually, working with diesel, you're gonna spill, it's gonna make a mess, it's gonna get the floor covered. Diesel is messy to work with. So I think it was ideal to keep the diesel tank on the outside, and as well the battery on the inside. We'll get the inside later on too. Just for reason being, the cold, the wind, it'll kill your battery. So the fact that you're keeping this in the inside too is a very good idea. Now, another thing too, with this tank, see, it's corrugated right here. So what you have to do is get a couple 2x4s. I got one 2x4 and 2x6. It just pushes it out. So it's gonna obviously stick out a little bit farther because you couldn't before with the bevel right there. And when you're doing that, just make sure you lift it off the ground a little bit so the tank is not gonna be touching. So it's off the ground, it's pushed out, and it's good. And now there's a couple ways you can do this too. I chose to use the Stinger. It's just an easier way to do it. It's from the top. You can cut the length. It goes down to the tank to the bottom. Now keep it about 1 inch or so off the bottom just because you're going to get sediment over time. You don't want it right on the bottom. Even though it comes with a fuel filter, it's a good habit. So I think that was a better idea. It comes with a kit you can put in the side too, but I don't like that. I think the Stinger on top, it's out of the way. You're not going to bump it or snag it. It just goes right in from the outside, right there, going in. So this is essentially the only thing that's on the outside. In diesel, doesn't matter if it gets cold. So that's more than fine being on the outside. So moving to the inside, this is, like I said, another super awesome reason. Keep the battery inside. Lots of people make these compact little things, the fuel tank in the inside and the heater in the inside. That doesn't make sense. You more so want the fuel on the outside to make it safer, and just a better idea. And keep your battery on the inside. It's going to last longer. It's going to stay out of the cold. So that's definitely ideal, especially since I'm making this unit to be absolutely outside the tent, and we're going to run the hose from this unit to the tent. It makes way more sense to me. As far as figuring out measurements, do it yourself. It's not very hard. Just line it up the best you can. You can pause it here if you want, and then you can figure out it'll fit right in the side. I make that one flush the intake, line it up, and then you can just measure the distance from this hose piece right here that you're going to need after it's been stationary, and to go to the outside. Now what I did with this piece here, this is the bracket it comes with. All you need is two L, actually I lied, you need a few more things. You need a chunk of wood, the L brackets, and the other two, the case and the exhaust port. But all you do is you get the two L brackets, which are right here. You put it on this existing bracket it comes with, you drill a couple more holes, and then you screw this down right to the bottom of the floor. And I think it's a good idea using 1/2-inch plywood to keep it off the bottom. You don't want to have this right on the ground, because if you're going to get a little moisture, something's going to leak. You always want this unit off just a little bit. So with the plywood, it's going to be off another 1/2 inch off the ground. Don't screw these L brackets through the plastic to the bottom, because it's fairly heavy. It's going to put a lot of weight over time, rattling, moving. It's probably going to break out the bolts if you were to go just through the plastic. So this way, use it through the wood. It's going to like secure it a lot easier with the brace being right on the bottom from the plywood to the plastic. So it's going to make it a lot more stable. I wouldn't go right into the plastic with the L brackets. Now, as far as using these, I just put Velcro on that. It's going to stay there, and you can tidy up everything so easy, and everything comes with this kit. Everything else you guys are going to see, the fuel filter, the fuel pump, everything, and you can tie them up with zip ties. I still got to put different clips on these. This is just temporary, just to show you guys for today. And everything's super tidy. It's easy to see. It's out of the way. Nothing's going to get messed up. It's one single line. It goes down there, and everything's zip tied, so it doesn't float around. Everything here, like that's screwed in the holder that holds the fuel pump. But zip tied here, it's zip tied down here at the air intake. And you got to make sure you have this zip tied too as well. You don't want anything falling over to the exhaust. It'll hot and melt, and you're going to have big problems, especially with the diesel line. Everything's secure. Nothing's going to fall. It's pretty simple design. Now, one thing I would definitely note, you never want to carry the battery in here too. It's too heavy. It's awkward. So when you're not using this, when you're setting up, take the battery out, carry it without it. And when you got it set up, then put the battery in, and then you can hook it back up. I think it's a lot better of an idea. So if you guys want to see how these diesel engine heaters are set up from start to finish, we take them apart. One's like this. We got another one up there on the wall. This one's stationary in the garage. And we got another one up there. Click on this video or this one. Thanks.